Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Supergirl comes out next week, and so I wanted to do a rant about Superman, especially while it's fresh in my mind and I've rewatched it recently. Sorry if you hear my fan in the background. It's summertime, so if I turned it off, then it's going to be way too unbearable. So I hope it's not too much. I am a super big fan of this movie. I think every single time I rewatch it, I end up walking away even more satisfied. I I really miss when superhero movies were super hopeful and vibrant. And I think that Man of Steel's biggest problem is how gray and godlike Superman is portrayed. When that's not the idea of Superman I've ever had. And I remember the hype I had for this movie before it came out, and that does make me a little bit biased because I don't know if I've been this excited for a movie since like Spider-Verse 2. David Cornsweet, David Cornsweet, yeah, okay. David Cornsweet's portrayal of Superman is um is perfect. I think that he gets Clark's confidence down, where Clark is a lot more soft-spoken and nimble, I guess. Whereas as soon as he switches into Superman, he instantly has like a huge confidence boost. He's super friendly and talkative, and I think that the kaiju fight in the beginning is a very nice example of that. Whereas he's going out of his way to save everything, even the stupid squirrel. Like he goes like that. That's just such a Superman thing to show, and I do really love that fight because I think it also shows how Superman has these godlike powers that were misunderstood by Man of Steel, where instead of just instantly flying the kaiju into space or whatever and killing it, he like takes care of everybody else first and then figures out a way to try and take it down before the Justice Gang shows up and kind of steals that from him. I do think that this movie has a lot of narrative issues that you can nitpick, but I think that the fact that James Gunn was able to make a Superman movie so quickly, comic accurate, is more than enough to redeem. I also want to mention Lewis before I get too into the specific details about the movies, because I think that the fact that they made Lewis an interesting character to follow is more of a feat than anything else they could do with this story, because I think that if I tried, like there was no way I could make her interesting. But I think that she's just as much of a supporting character as or main character as Superman, and she gets a lot of room to shine because she's the complete opposite of Superman. Whereas he's very trusting and sees the beauty in everything, she's a lot more cold-hearted and like a lot of people could relate to. I feel like, and a lot more antisocial. And I think that there's a beautiful contrast in that, where she tries to think that punk rock isn't beautiful, whereas Superman changes perspective on that. And I think that was what a lot of people felt going into the movie, and that's literally one of my favorite things about it is how the movie goes out of its way to say that it's cool to be nice and it's cool to care. That the way that James Gunn is able to infuse all these side characters like the Justice Gang and make them all have their own unique quirks is also very good. Standout for a lot of people was Mr. Terrific, with his like Yondu fight scenes and his ego with being like the smartest person in any room. But I also think that the Green Lantern was really cool with how stupid he is, but like how that stupidity is turned into confidence. I thought that was really funny. I love Crypto. Crypto's honestly probably my favorite part about the movie. I don't know why Superman executives or directors are so scared to make a Superman movie whimsical and fun. That Crypto is the embodiment of that, and how he's just crazy and just fucks shit up constantly. But I think it works really well in contrast with Superman. I also love. I know that a lot of people complain about the CGI in this movie, but I think that the shots in this movie are unmatched. Like the shot of Superman coming out of the smoke, flying scenes, even though they don't look the best, I think that the way that the camera is super snappy and like just zooms around, it makes it feel a lot faster. It makes it feel like you're trying to keep up, which I think is very important for Superman. I also want to take a moment to mention how, even though I was excited, I've watched this movie with multiple other people who who weren't very excited for it or just don't have much knowledge of Superman. And I think if you went into this with an open mind and not being a Snyder fanboy, then I like just watching these people leave the theater or leave the couch or whatever, just being in a good mood. Like this movie puts people in a good mood, and I think that that's very, very important for a Superman movie. And I love this movie. I think it has its issues, but personally, I would give it a 5 stars just based on how it makes me feel. And I think that that's so much more important than really making me like rethink my whole life. I do think that the story is paced like a Saturday cartoon, which just didn't work for everybody. But it's one of those things where as I rewatch, I start to appreciate more and more because I think that this story is able to juggle so many different aspects of Superman and still keep that otherworldly feeling, like you're watching it on a Sunday morning right as you've woken up and you can't like really process what you're watching, especially that first time. But as you like really think about it, it starts to make a lot more sense. I want to talk about Lex too. I think Lex is one of the best villains I've seen in a while. He really doesn't have too much motivation. Obviously, he has that speech in the end where he's frustrated that Superman was given all this praise without really having to earn it. For most of the movie, he's just a hater, and I think that that's exactly the energy that Lex needs to capture. There's an army of monkeys that he mind controls to type hate comments, which I think is also an issue that is not mentioned enough by media, is how social media will portray different people's opinions just based on what's popular. But a lot of the times what's popular can be gaslit from bigger communities or like by bots. The way that he uses these Mortal Kombat as fighting moves where he's like 1A, 1A, 12B, 47Z, it shows that like this is his life, like this is how much it's taken over the way he thinks and the way he makes his army fight for him, and how it's all in spite of Superman. And I think that that's very exciting to see where that will go in the next one, wherein they have to team up to take down Brainiac. Like he orchestrates a whole war just to capture and kill Superman, while a lot of the movie is spent trying to figure out why he would orchestrate the war, and there's really not a deeper meaning behind it, and there doesn't need to be. The way that this mirrors the Palestine war going on right now is really beautiful and hopeful for a lot of people. Even though Israel, or whatever they call it in the movie, is corrupt, they're portrayed in the media for such a long time like they're helping the people of Palestine out, and like they don't have ulterior motives. This movie is willing to go weirder and darker than expected. Almost anything in the pocket dimension is really unique stuff that not a lot of people or even like comic fans would understand. But it's portrayed in a way that's really digestible, and like that weird monster thing that like drives the little cart for Lex is a really funky idea. Or even characters like Metamorphosis, who are pretty big in the comics, being such a big character here is something that James Gunn has always been really, really good at. If you're mad that Superman is woke, then you really don't understand what you're talking about. And I think that this is where the Snyder brain has came in and completely ruined the interpretation of Superman in main media. Because what are you talking about? Like being hopeful is now seen as woke. Like, are we talking about the same character? I did mention Lois and Superman on their own, but I think that their relationship being built up as like a situationship is also really, really good, because it allows us to see these characters who were like Lois in the beginning was definitely thinking about leaving Superman just because they aren't super similar. We get to see them grow in love. Like we get to see why they love each other and where that stems from. The Ultraman was pretty predictable, but I also think that it would be pretty hard to give Superman a villain that can match his strength, especially when Lex is there to match his brains and be a lot smarter than him. On its own, having a clone of Superman that was made by Lex out of envy be the main villain is a good idea, and I think that it works. Well, it's definitely a played out trope, especially in the year of 2025, with having your clone be the main villain. I liked in this movie. It also opens the doorway for Bizarro, which I would be really excited to see. Another shot I really loved in the movie was when Superman's holding that baby and he's almost thrown into the black hole, and then he has to use his breath to blow them out. That is such a beautiful shot right there. I also like how much scenes there are of Superman just saving people. Like that is something that's severely missed from superhero movies now, is the superhero actually being a superhero, and the way that people look at Superman like he's a symbol and not a person is also really inspiring, because it's a way to show these godlike powers without making him a god. Like, these people aren't viewing him as a god, that they're seeing his humanity and being inspired by it. I haven't heard the most positive things about Supergirl, and I'm gonna go see it next Wednesday, I believe. So I have read the comic, and I think the comic is brilliant. I like the way that Supergirl contrasts with Superman, in the way that Superman was growing up on Earth and he's a lot more of a human. Supergirl got to spend a lot of her life on Krypton and had to watch it die multiple times, and that really took a toll on her, and so she's a lot darker of a character. So I am really excited for Supergirl, and I hope it doesn't let me down. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I know that this video is probably going to trigger some people, so let's try to keep it humane. But whatever happens, happens. And I'll see you guys hopefully next week when I try to get the Supergirl video out in a timely manner before people stop caring. Take care.